Welcome back to the Dark Corner. Today's film is Killer Klowns from Outer Space. Killer Klowns from Outer Space is a 1988 American science fiction horror comedy written, directed, and produced by the Chiodo brothers and starring Grant Kramer, Suzanne Snyder, John Allen Nelson, and John Vernon. It is the only film written and directed by the Chiodo brothers, who also created the practical effects and makeup.
And, well, now I forgot which one it is. Is one of the guys, I think it's Paul, is in the Clownzilla suit at the end.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
When the credits for this movie were opening up,
Good titles, too.
very good titles.
Hang on. This movie is great.
Yes.
And I watched it twice this week, but the people love this movie. It's a huge, I would even say it's not even a cult classic because there's too many people like it.
You know, and I wonder why it didn't get as popular as other things around this time were.
Yeah, it's 1988.
Yeah.
What came out then that would, well, it probably didn't have a wide release. That's the thing, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know it was in the theaters. I only saw it on videotape. So I'm sure that's what it is.
I think this movie might have, actually been just released direct to video.
It might
have been.
Oh man, I thought I might have read something that.
Because I was looking it up because the version of this I have does not have a lot of bonus features. Really.
Yeah, right.
Well, and there wasn't a whole lot of bonus features to be had on this, especially if it was only released on VHS. But it's a great movie, and
it really is. It's a lot of fun.
It's funny that it's just seen as like a cult film or a cult classic because it has every element that a great movie, especially of this time, would have.
Sure.
It's great comedy. It's got awesome horror effects, and it's got cool creatures in it.
Yes.
Like it's a real home run of a movie.
It really is.
And I'm just kind of surprised. It's a cult classic and not just
classic.
A classic, yeah. It was released on VHS. I don't have any theatrical release of Killer Klowns according to Wikipedia that I'm looking at. So
here's the thing. It does get played in theaters now.
Yeah.
And a few years ago, what's his name? The music guy. The guy that did the music. Not the Dickies, the band that does the Killer Klowns from Outer Space song.
The
Michael.
Is it Michael or is it John Massiari?
Massiari is in, yeah.
Yeah.
He just did a live orchestra performance with the movie playing.
Of Killer Klowns?
Yeah, like in California somewhere. Yeah. So it's not, and I guess all these fan things, like Trek conferences, what are those
like
called?
Like the Comic-Cons?
Yeah, Comic-Cons, those kinds of things. They're always at them, and people love them and love this movie.
I very much love this movie. I think this movie is fantastic, and it's a movie that I'm not scared when I'm watching.
No,
but I'm scared when it's not playing. I'm like, oh, are they here? Are they? Do I got to turn over my shoulder too many times?
It's got a lot of charm, and I think that's the thing.
A lot of charm, and it's very unique. It's not stealing anything from anything else. Like these are very unique clowns in this movie. Like that, they haven't done anything like this since, and they haven't done anything like this before. It's unique to its own. It has its own identity, and it's not trying to be these other slashers or even comedy movies of this time.
Right. It's not like Laser Blast.
It's not like Laser Blast.
It's not ripping anything off. It's completely. And that was a thing. One of the guys was like, well, they were brainstorming. They're brothers.
Yeah.
They were brainstorming what they wanted to do because hang on, back up. The Chiodo brothers have a production company, and they do special effects.
Yeah.
And I heard two things when I was researching this. One, they didn't do the effects for this. They did make the masks, and they did do the Clownzilla, but the other stuff they said they didn't do. And then another one, and I think it might have been the guy saying that they did do them. So whatever. They could have done it because they did do a lot of great stuff.
They did a lot of claymation stuff that I saw.
Ton of claymation stuff.
And
it's really good, too.
Having a background in claymation probably did this movie wonders, because you do have a lot of like the man, I don't even know what to call these kind of effects, like the spinning circus when it's flying
optical
up there.
is what they're
There are
called.
a lot
They
of
used to call
optical effects.
Yeah.
And I imagine having a career in stop motion animation with your claymation, that it would have come naturally to do a lot of stuff like this.
Yeah, I think so too. And what was I going to say? Oh, I'll just go back to my point. So they do this stuff. Oh, when they've been doing it since they were kids. And on YouTube, you can see they're really rough.
Oh, really?
Kids made this claymation stuff, and I didn't watch too much of it because it's bad. And there's no sound because it was a 16 millimeter camera. But so they did that, and they were brainstorming what they wanted to do for their first feature. And one of the guys was thinking, what's the scariest thing I could think of? And it was driving down a mountain road, and a car out of nowhere comes up behind him. And then it overtakes him, and he looks over. It's a clown.
Okay.
And then they just went from there and thought, what kind of things do clowns and circuses do? Now they kill people. And that's basically what the movie is.
Yeah.
They come to Earth,
They
like
do
the Blob.
stuff.
Like the Blob. Did you ever see the Blob?
No.
Well, it's good.
It's a George Lucas recommendation, though.
Yeah, it's great.
He loves that movie.
It's really good, except for the song. Yeah, the song is terrible. And like the Blob, these people are obviously not teenagers. They don't ever say their name, but if you have an apartment, you don't have to go parking.
Yeah.
Which that's where the main two people, Mike and Debbie, see the spaceship come in.
Not Haley's Comet.
Yeah, not Haley's Comet. And it's that they come here like that schlocky way. Doesn't need any kind of build up or anything. It's just a shooting star. It landed over there. Let's go check it out. They go to the cops. The cops, of course, don't believe them. They end up winning in the end. The aliens leave. That's the whole thing. And then they just shove it full of gags, and it's perfect.
And it's perfect because it's a good movie before it's a comedy.
Yeah.
It's not a good comedy. It's a good movie that is funny.
Right.
Like
exactly.
Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
Ghostbusters is a good movie.
Right.
That is also a comedy.
It's got jokes in it.
Yes. And there was a period around the early 2000s where it was a downfall of comedy because these movies where they were just making comedy movies. It was jokes on jokes on jokes. You'd have a stand-up comedian or somebody like that, and you'd pit the whole movie around that person.
Right.
And you lose a lot because it's not that it's not funny every time. And if with a specific person, it has to be funny every time, and that's why you lost a lot of comedy in the early 2000s.
And that was the thing. Stand-up comedians would just wait to get approached to do a TV show like Jerry Seinfeld. And it's interesting that you brought that up because there's a comedian in this movie. It's his first movie. His name is Christopher Titus. And when I read that, I'm like, holy cow, that's awesome. I can't wait to say that. And then I'm like, you don't know who that is.
I don't know who that is.
He's pretty funny, too. But he had a show, too, on Fox in the early 2000s or late 1990s called Titus. And it was basically Seinfeld.
Oh, really? Yeah,
pretty much with Stacy Keach and him. And it was really good. I loved it. It got canceled, of course.
But that's the formula for why this movie works so well.
Yeah, really.
And why it stuck around, because it's still popular. They just made a video game about it.
This week.
Yeah,
came out
this
week.
week.
Unbelievable.
The sequel for this movie has been in and out of production since 89.
Yeah, right.
When this movie came out. Or the year
I think it
after
made
this movie
money,
came
too.
out.
Wait a minute. It made money. Anyway, there's a lot of stuff about where did it come out in the theaters or not.
Right.
And because it was low budget, I think it was $4 million or something like that.
I think you're right. And like, I'm not going to say you can't tell, but it's not as glaring as you would assume it would be.
No, it's not. It is absolutely not. Listen, while you're looking that up, at the very beginning, there's a gun that shoots popcorn at people.
Yes.
Costs $7,000, the biggest, most expensive prop in the whole movie, and 6 weeks to make. And it's on screen for about 4 seconds.
Yeah, and it really does shoot popcorn.
It really does, yeah.
It would really propel the popcorn.
Quote unquote popcorn, because it turns out it's really spores that grow into clown worm things. And it is ridiculous. You know, it's aliens are going to be aliens. They're aliens that we think look like clowns. And I think in the movie, too, somebody mentions, well, maybe they're the ancient aliens that came down. And that's where we got our idea of clowns from.
I really like that idea a lot, because that is it's a cool sci-fi trope of like, did we invent this and they're just kind of copying us, or is this where
that
in human
came
history
from?
we saw this stuff before? I think that's really cool. According to Wikipedia, this movie had a budget of $1.8 million
in 1988.
In 1988,
probably $500,000 now.
And the box office was only $352.
Yeah, that's that. I saw that. I thought that's Wikipedia. You know, somebody could have forgot to put the .00s on it.
They could have, or it didn't have a wide theatrical release, and it only had, because that's
in one
what that's
place.
counting.
It could have been one place.
It could have been one place, because they're not going to look at VHS, DVD sales. They're just looking at theatrical, which this movie made its money back on the home video market
in spades,
tenfold.
Yeah. Those guys could have probably retired off with all the franchise basically stuff that comes from it, because they got toys now. Yeah, they've got the Funko line. Stuff. Spirit Halloween really took off with it. They've got Spirit Halloween did
animated or animatronic. Killer Klowns now. It's stayed, and that's what I'm saying. Like, how is this a cult classic if it's so enriched in our culture, in our movie culture, because it's everywhere. I guess for a little bit it died down in like the 90s,
sure,
but
probably.
then it came, once it got back on DVD, it was everywhere. The soundtrack blew up.
The music's really good too.
The music is really good.
The song is by the Dickies. It's all right, but they didn't know they did the song before they saw the movie, and you know they're
just
okay.
The title based on
you know, that's it.
Yeah,
but that other guy, he did a great job. Because there's menacing music in it, and then light and lighty menace. It's really good. It's well-made movie.
They utilize something that I think is a great way to keep things creepy in this. They have circus music, clown music, like that organ sound, and it's like it's out of tune, or it's
played with a heavy metal guitar,
and it feels creepy. It feels like I should be safe and I'm not safe. But going back to the beginning of this with the opening titles, and like you got the same three names recycled over and over and over again.
That's cool.
Killer Klowns is in that really cool red and white looking font, and then Outer Space is just a black and blue. It kind of feels like it was added on. Because it was added on. This movie was originally just called Killer Klowns.
And before that, it was just called Clownzilla.
But to separate it from what they feared was going to be a slasher movie, they thought people would be like, oh, that's just another slasher movie. They just added in from Outer Space. And you know, it's kind of pulpy, and I love it. Yeah,
that's part of the charm.
It is, and it's just natural. It's totally a natural movie, and you're getting exactly what you signed up for too. That's the whole movie.
You went to see a movie called Killer Klowns from Outer Space, and that's what you get.
There's not a whole lot of man, I don't want to say like boring bits, but like
it doesn't. It's well paced.
It's very well paced. And the creatures are in it throughout it. Like there's not long. They're not just
the reveal happens
or anything
real early.
And from the reveal to the end of the movie, they're in all of it. And I think that is also a bold thing to do for a movie that is low budget like this, because a lot of low budget horror movies don't show monsters. They hide it. You only see a hand or an arm or something like that.
And it's dark.
It's always very dark. This one, like, it's all well lit. Like you can see everything about these guys.
And there's a lot of ridiculousness to it too. Which you don't even really. I've seen it before, and I didn't pay attention to it then, but this time I was like, come on. The Terenzi brothers.
Yeah, the ice cream salesman.
Are selling ice cream in the middle of the night.
In the middle of the night.
In the middle of the night. It's well lit
adults.
to grown people who are parking instead of in their apartment.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
It's just stupid. And then like
they did it to get girls.
Yeah.
But they took on that loan, so they have to sell the ice cream.
Right. And they're giving it away all the time.
Yeah. They're just, hey, what's the ice cream? I think that's I think that might have been a on-site gag. They're like, how would it be really funny?
Right.
If one of these ice cream trucks. Because
speaking of rented, all the cars in this movie were rented.
Oh.
And the one that the Jeep that has all the cotton candy in it.
Yeah.
They ruined it. They had to pay for that afterwards. And one point, a car goes off a bridge. Mm-hmm. It was only supposed to stop and hang off of there, and it ruined that car. They had to pay for that too. So when you look at it, there's another thing, because like the cop car gets smashed a couple of times, quote unquote smashed, and it just looks bad.
Yeah,
they stop real quick because they couldn't afford it.
Like, yeah, I was thinking of, because when they try to ram in to the one clown who does the T-Rex puppet, they abruptly stop before they hit that wall.
Yeah, you can tell.
And they do that a lot. Like right when he's pulling into the police station to go talk to Mooney, he abruptly stops before he hits anything. And I almost felt like, it felt like it was intentional to be a joke, but it was intentional because I couldn't replace these cars.
They rented them.
Speaking of Mooney, he might have been the biggest name actor in this, I think.
I think he absolutely was, before and after, because these people all went on to have careers in television and smaller movies and stuff like that. But
he was a big Hollywood
guy. He was
before.
already, and the character is basically Dean Wormer. Got fired from Faber College in Animal House and is now the
sheriff here.
Same exact thing, but that guy does that perfectly.
I wonder. So after Jaws, the mayor from Jaws has been a light trope.
Yeah.
Where like you have somebody in charge of a town and something's actively going wrong and the person in charge is doing absolutely nothing about it.
Yeah.
I wonder if they did that intentionally because Jaws did that, or if that was just.
I think they just did that because he's got to be a hard ass.
Yeah.
And the kids, he's going to be mean to the kids.
Yeah. There's only one real kid in this movie. There's one child.
One kid.
And this whole.
Who's going to be abducted.
Yeah, and he bashed with a giant hammer.
Yeah,
it's
but that's
dark.
funny. It is dark, but it is hilarious.
I think it works because it's a dark joke.
Yeah.
That's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Because they're cruel and sadistic as all get out.
The clowns?
Yeah.
Yeah, they are.
They're here to kill people.
Right.
They're not here
for food.
Yeah, and I think it's cool because, again, like there's a lot of like in the background world building, because like all that cotton candy stuff, they peel it back and like the people are all like bloodied up.
Yeah, they're dissolving.
They're dissolving because they don't eat the people; they drink the
them.
people.
Yeah, they're like bugs.
They're bugs. Yeah, I think that's so, because I was thinking about Cronenberg's Fly when Jeff Goldblum regurgitates.
Oh, I'm sorry,
on the
that's
leg,
disgusting.
Or that, yeah, and he just starts eating it.
Yeah, but the leg part of it was good. Yeah,
and this does similar stuff like that, where they digest them in a pod and then drink from the pod.
Or the pies, they throw the pies at the security guard and
what
he
are you
just
doing
melts.
With those pies, boys? That's hilarious. I love that line. I
Yeah,
love how goofy the clowns are.
Yeah,
right. Like they know. It's like they know people aren't gonna be suspicious of the clowns, so they take advantage of that.
Like the one pulls up in a little tiny motorcycle to a biker gang.
Yeah,
and then he like spins around or jumps up or something. Now all of a sudden he's got boxing gloves on. He says, what are you going to do? Knock my block off? And boom, his head comes off.
Right off. And it's funny, I think, and again, this is kind of like the fan theory world building thing, because what he pulls up, the guy asks him, can I ride your bike? He says no. He says, well, can I honk the horn? And he says yes. I think if he honked the horn, he would have gotten hurt.
He probably would have been killed.
Yeah. So it was because like, why else would you just let him honk the horn?
Right.
Especially if you're going to kill him anyway.
Yeah.
You're there to kill him.
Right.
So I think that could have been something. But then again, we go farther in, and he gives the jumbo clown gives Mooney the flowers.
Yeah.
They shoot water at him.
And it's just water.
And it's just water.
Yeah. Because he's got something planned for him.
He's got, you're not going to make a dummy out of me.
Right.
It's so cool.
That is so cool.
And it's cool that it doesn't shy away from what it is. Like, it lets the silly humor engulf the horrific events that's going on.
It is, too. It's horrific. Because the clown's got his hand up his back.
Yeah.
And he goes, and pulls it out and, like,
wipes it away.
Yeah. Oh, man.
There's a scene in the pharmacy I noticed where
the pharmacy was good.
All these clowns have names, but they're all like Jumbo, Mumbo, Hex, all that kind of stuff. So I don't know which ones this one is. But he's going through the stuff, and like his sleeve rolls up, and you can see that it's a glove.
Yeah.
And then to come back to in the police station when he handcuffs the big one, his hands fall off, like because they wear gloves. But that's a good way to use that costume in that way, because then he's like, well, let me see your hands, and they pop back up. It's such a good. It's a good idea.
Yeah, it was an unintentional callback because let me tell you something. You people think that all that backstory crap. I was just watching it.
Well, I think it was. I don't think
they didn't do that on purpose.
And they didn't catch it when they were doing it. And it was they had 4 hours to shoot this in a pharmacy. Let's just get it over quick.
Yeah.
So they're not going to go back and take as many shots as they can.
Do reshoots
at all, if any. I don't know if this.
I doubt
had
they did
any reshoots. Mike, they got Scream Queens, but Mike blinks. He's the blink king. He blinks hard and he blinks often.
Yeah, you know what he does. That's true. Lot.
And it was kind of distracting for me because it's like everything he said, he would blink really hard or multiple times, and then kind of like weird. Lead off the sentence like, "What are you gonna do here, man?"
Yeah,
like he's blinking the entire time, and I'm like, "Why are you blinking so much? What's going on with you?" But I really like a lot of the human characters in this too, because they're perfect, likable. They got like your action hero, your kind of goofy boyfriend, your damsel in distress. They've got it all, and they're all well done. Like they didn't hold back. Nope. They had a $1.8 million budget, and it's all on the screen. Yes, they didn't. There was no corners cut. There was nothing. It was
there probably was, but you don't see them.
You don't see them, and this. I think another thing that really works for this is that it's not shot. It takes place entirely in just a local small town in the middle of nowhere.
Right.
Like Haddonfield or Elm Street.
Right.
It's all confined to this one area, and I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, when you said Elm Street, they were inspired too by Nightmare on Elm Street with the surreal kills because of the dreamness. Yeah,
you can see
he
that. He
said that too. Yeah, you totally can. I love it.
I love this movie, man. It's so good. I can say that 100 million times. I've got the Scream Factory Steelbook that was just released.
Yep.
And it was a grail. I was like, I have to find that, and I happened to find it at Walmart. It was good, and it looks great in 4K. It's another one of those movies that 4K does it justice because there's a lot of really good color in this, and those costumes look really, really good. So the clearer you can see them, the better.
Yeah,
it just looks good. And on top
the costumes are the clown stuff. They did a great job on it.
They really did. They
the hands and everything, because they do close-ups with the hands, and they look like plausible hands. Yeah, and they're a little goofy looking. It's cool as hell.
All their weaponry looks goofy looking, just like that.
Yep.
And like I believe a lot of this stuff was shot, I'm going to say, on location. Like they didn't build sets for this.
Yeah, no, it was a town. I forgot the name of it. And then also some Palisades thing. That's where the carnival thing that's by the ocean is.
Oh, okay.
They're real places.
They feel like real places. And when they're shooting, because it's nighttime, everybody's kind of stage lit.
Yes.
So like they're just surrounded by a void of darkness because you have two lights over here and we need to see you on the film. If I had to change anything, I guess I would do that. I would Star Wars it where I put in the sky like they did Cloud City.
Right, yeah.
But other than that, that's the only thing I would change about this movie.
Yeah, I wouldn't change anything. I wouldn't even do that. Because I can handle the blackness because you really pay attention to what's going on.
Yeah, it draws your focus entirely.
It totally draws your focus.
You know, I do want to ask, which one is your favorite kill out of all of them?
Man, I should have thought of this. I think probably the one I always remember is the shadow puppet turns into a dinosaur.
T-Rex, yeah. That's
and what
cool.
are these old people doing sitting, waiting for a bus in the middle of the night?
Yeah. That's another thing. Like, this movie feels like it is... Oh, man. I was thinking about this. Because, like, it feels like it's in its own little bubble.
Yeah,
like, the
right.
world doesn't exist outside of this town.
Right.
Like, there was an old... Super Friends episode where, like, the toy man sent him off to this weird planet.
Yep.
And it kind of feels like that. Like, they're just existing in this weird zone.
Yes.
This phantom zone.
And I think the darkness of the surroundings helps kind of sell that.
Yeah, it kind of does, too. Yeah. Like if the movie ended and it pulled out and it was just a bubble on the wall with a whole bunch of different towns on
Right,
another,
like
on another
Brainiacs.
clown ship. Yeah. I think that... Like, I think that's kind of how it feels, too, because it's so isolated in its own universe. Like, they call for the state police, and they don't. They show up at the
very end.
And they don't really do anything, you know?
Except watch the big top, which is a giant top.
Which is hilarious.
Right, blow up.
That is so funny. And I like how it's literal.
Yes,
you
right.
call the tent the big top,
Right.
and then it is a big. That's why it's called the big top,
Right.
Because when the cavemen humans saw the first alien come down, that's what they called it. That's so cool. Like, this is one of those movies I don't want explanations for,
Right.
but I kind of do at the same time.
I do not want any. It's just fine just the way it is to me. That's hilarious.
Well, they did it with Prey, like the Predator movie.
You're right. They do it all the time now.
And I
all the
think-
time. It's your guys' thing, not
I think that'd
mine.
be kind of cool, though. See a prequel to this where they're in a different world on Earth. You know, like it's
right.
a different time period. It's a
Right.
different everything, and they're just doing, I guess, the same exact things, and the humans of that time have to deal with that. And I kind of want the humans to lose.
Well,
Because
that's good you said that, because the one thing I noticed in this, they win
the clowns
while
do?
they get blown up. But when they're leaving, they've got the whole town in those cocooned things.
They got, like, everybody.
Right.
Really?
I think what kind of it's like plot necessity, because Debbie, they don't put her in the
No,
cotton
they put
candy
her in
that'll
a
melt
balloon.
her. She goes into a balloon.
But they did say before, was an old guy called, and he's like, "Help! They got my wife. They put her in a balloon." And Mooney's like, "They put her in a balloon, eh?" So they do set that up for later. But I think they did that.
It's Debbie's plot
after.
armor.
Yeah, because you got to survive somehow,
Right.
And she ain't gonna survive in the cotton candy.
At the very, they don't usually do this. They don't ever do it anymore. But the old man's dog, he's
Yeah.
gone.
They got the dog.
They got him.
They got the dog. And they don't
He
even
didn't come
show
back.
what happened to him
Nope.
either. He's just
So
gone.
when whoopsies. When the ones enticing the girl, you think that they killed the dog.
They're gonna kill
They're
her
gonna kill
too.
the kid too.
And I wonder if there's a sense of, like, just enjoy, because if they kill the dog, I don't think they ate the dog. I think they killed the dog to kill the dog.
Maybe.
I don't think they're gonna kill her the little girl to eat the little girl. I think they would have just did it.
Right.
Because I think there's a couple of them where they just try to get you.
Yeah, it seems that way. It
know,
does
yeah.
seem that way.
I also really like how they do the quick montage kind of at the end of the first act in this, where they're going around, they're infiltrating the town.
Yes.
And
yeah,
they-
right.
And they're just getting people.
And I
they're-
like right before that, when they kind of shamble towards the town, there's a sign that says 5 miles.
Yeah, they're just waddling.
They just, yeah. real slow. That part's really good.
That is.
Man, this is a good movie.
And they got that it's like an electric guitar thing, and it's such a well-made movie, and it works great. The heads for this, the clown heads, were all robotic puppeteered masks.
Yeah, they did a good job with. You can't tell, like, they blink all the time.
They blink all the time
while they're walking and stuff, and you don't ever see like their costume get tugged,
nope,
or anything. And they're moving; they're not just stationary, which would be the easiest way to do it.
Yeah,
and just have the guys underneath it working the stuff, but they move. Their face moves, their mouth moves, their ears wiggle.
Yeah,
everything.
Every bit of it. They're constantly moving, and it looks great. I'm so glad they didn't try to shy away with this, and they did the work to make the clowns look as good as they did.
Yeah,
because
and to show
it
them as
looks
often as
so
they do.
good. Yeah. I wonder if any of these people went on to work in like ILM or something, because
not the Kyoto guys. They got their own thing going, and they've done a ton of crap from all the 4 Critters movies.
Yeah, that's right. They did the Critters movies.
They did, what was her name? Large Marge from Pee-wee's Big Adventure, which was a stop motion thing. They do all kinds of stop motion stuff for The Simpsons. They're busy.
Well, I guess they're the cult equivalent to the Henson Company. Then.
Yeah, right.
Like they're
Elf.
all over. Little things. Did they do the stuff for Elf?
Yeah, all that stop motion with the snowman and stuff. They did all that stuff.
That's really neat.
It really is. Team America, they did stuff with that too, which was another big kind of a cult movie.
Is that the South Park movie?
Yeah.
Yeah. I like how the noses are their weaknesses.
Yeah.
That's a goofy little fun thing.
Yeah, and I know it's kind of cheap too, because you just hit them in the nose and they blow up.
Yeah, you gotta pop the nose.
That's kind of cheesy and good at the same time because it's a clown thing. But like the popcorn that turns into the snake things that have clown heads.
Yeah,
that part's really good. It's done really well. I'm not saying that, but everything on our planet doesn't look like us. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So why would they look like that?
Well, and then, to call back to what we were saying earlier about how they're kind of like insects, I think those are larvae, kind of like facehuggers from Alien.
Yeah, right.
But they have clown heads, but they would grow into a full clown, maybe.
Oh, maybe, sure.
And maybe that is
how they reproduce.
Works. Yeah, because there's no there's no anything to these things. They just come, and then when they're in the spaceship, they're just like, what's going on?
Right.
We only see 3-4 different rooms in this.
Yeah,
you got the giant reactor, which is a really good map painting.
It really is good. That was like a big budget thing. It looks great.
It does. And then you go into the other room in the beginning where they have all the cotton candy and it's kind of empty.
Yep.
But it's still this massive room.
Yeah, it's like bigger on the inside than it is on the outside.
I love that. I love how madhousey it looks.
Yeah, and like
funhousey.
The Clownzilla comes down. It's all just black in there, except for the props they need to use.
I like how he comes down on strings.
Yeah,
because
that's cool.
He came down on strings, and then when it was the guy in the suit, they broke off the strings. I think that's a great way to do that.
It was perfect.
Yeah,
very clever,
so smart. There's a giant clown in there. Like, it's kind of, in a way.
It must be their clown god, because right before that, when the Terenzi brothers, or whatever their name is, they bust through the wall.
Yeah.
And their truck has a giant clown on the top of it. And he's like, obey me and let them go. Luckily, all the aliens speak English because they just let them go.
Yeah.
And then that giant clown comes down like... clowns they have to look up at are their superiors.
Yeah. I also I'm the more I'm thinking about this right now. This is a fresh thought. So you've got the pods with the melty people.
Yeah.
Like how you've got an Alien with they're in the cocoons on the walls and it's all nasty. You've got these alien creatures that invade your town and either harvest your people or kill them. you've got one big patriarch instead of a matriarch that they all look up to. It's kind of strange that they mirror this pretty hard.
Yeah, it is.
And with the face hugger things and they both kind of look like the face hugger and the chest burster with the snake like body, but like they're coming out at you. You know, it's a little interesting that you've got a lot of similarities there.
A lot of parallels to that.
Yeah, but it's not.
They're regular people that are isolated,
right, in their own little area.
They're not truckers in space, but they're just regular people,
right. It's interesting. It's an interesting thing that they did there.
And there's an animatronic person because you got Ash and the alien, and then the puppet when he becomes a puppet.
Yeah,
it's a stretch there, but it's still a thing.
I like how the one outside the pharmacy starts acting like the gorilla across the street, across the way. He's like, well, I gotta blend in, so I'm just gonna do what that thing's doing. It's goofy. It's a fun, goofy movie.
It is, and it was made by people that wanted to do it. Yes. Yes, you could say there's a lot of love in it because you can. That's where the charm I think comes from, and it's just a good time. It's well worth however you got to see it, and 4K might as well.
You know, and yeah, there's one scene in this that I think would not be accepted today, and that is when they first get into the woods. They park their car, Mike and Debbie. And he gets out and he's like, all right, now where to now, Mike? And he jumps up on the car and he starts doing a Native American impersonation.
Oh, yeah, that would. That and the dog. That would.
I think those are the only two. And you know, it speaks to the culture of the time.
It absolutely does.
That was in this movie. Because, again, like nowadays, I don't want to, say anything like that, but like nowadays, you can't really stereotype anything.
Right.
You can't do stuff like that.
Yeah.
And this being the movie from the 80s, you can, because it's not like hurtful or harmful.
Not to us, but it is kind of still a punching down joke. It really is.
It is. But I don't know. I looked at it like it was kind of in good humor. Like they weren't.
It's not malicious.
Negative. It's not malicious.
Right. But it is still punching down, I think. Because they're making fun of stuff that isn't real. you know?
Okay, yeah. Yeah, that's fair.
And it's not like the Lone Ranger where, he always called the Lone Ranger, Tonto always called the Lone Ranger Kimosabi.
Oh, yeah.
And Kimosabi means horse's ass. So he's saying that on TV. You know what I mean? His stereotype he got to punch back with by saying a word that nobody knew what it meant. But yeah, Kimosabi, that means horse's ass.
So Killer Klowns from Outer Space was released in the United States on May 27th. So actually, ironically...
That's why the game came out then.
Yeah, that is insane.
Oh, wow.
Came out literally on the 27th of 1988. The film was released on VHS by Media Home Entertainment in 1989. So this movie did have a very limited theatrical
well, if they only
run.
made $300, it's only in one place.
MGM ended up getting it, and in the 2000s they put out the DVD by Midnight Movies on August 28th, 2001. They then re-released it in 2012 on September 11th on Blu-ray. And on the Blu-ray, I guess that's where all the bloopers and the like auditions, deleted scenes, cool posters, stuff like that. All the fun stuff is on the Blu-ray because it's not on the 4K, and I was very disappointed by that.
Yeah, I would like to get that Blu-ray. I'd like to see all that other stuff.
I would too. I didn't know. So I've seen some of it. Like I've seen how they did the clown death stuff, and it's not just the clown on his feet spinning around. They put him on a motorized like turntable, and they really spun him, and then they edited the film to look like it's spinning faster, but they really spun these guys.
Wow.
And that's one hell of a way to do it.
Yeah, it is.
So since 1989, this movie's been released 4 different ways, and it's not gone down.
No, and it's a midnight movie too.
Right.
that
one
kind of thing.
those-
Like I said, that guy, the conductor or the music supervisor guy, he played in with a live orchestra in front of the movie and with a crowd. You know what I mean? People will
came
go
to see
it. Yeah.
which kind of gives me hopes for a sequel. I don't know if this movie will get a sequel or if it'll just get rebooted. Blumhouse picks it up and does the new Killer Clowns from Outer Space, and then he gives it 2 sequels.
Maybe A24 will get it.
Maybe. Well,
because Blumhouse is kind of not doing so good with that stuff. Like, don't they do the Fantasy Island movie, which was crap?
Well, he's not, but they're making money because they keep those budgets low.
Yeah, right.
And they do. Blumhouse did the Halloween movies.
Yeah, I know.
They're doing the Exorcist movies. They're doing the Freddy Fazbear movies. They're doing a lot. And I mean, as a Blumhouse, like you know what you're getting into.
Yeah.
And I think it might fit them better than A24.
Listen, I would rather see an A24 version.
I would too.
But, or none. Something that's going to be, they're going to put as much into it as those the Chiodo brothers did.
Oh, what's his name?
And,
Anthony Muschietti. Did he do Malignant? The guy who did Malignant.
I think so.
I think should.
Did you see Malignant?
Yeah.
What a ridiculous movie.
You didn't like it?
I loved it.
Oh my God.
But it's ridiculous.
It is. So I saw the poster for Malignant and I was like, it's a direct callback to these types of horror movies.
Yeah, it is. The whole thing really is. It is.
Yeah, it is.
A good callback to these kind of movies. It's after you go out, do a double feature to watch Killer Clowns from Outer Space and then Malignant.
Because I think he would do a great job with this. And then
he
Courtney
probably
wanted
would.
to see it, and somebody said, you have to see that movie. And I was like, all right,
yeah, it was
fine.
me,
got the
but I didn't say it to
DVD.
you. I said it to my boss, and like, you got to watch it. It's so ridiculous.
Well, he said, I'm not even going to tell you what it's about. I'm not going to
Yep.
give you anything.
That's
I
what
won't
I
do
did.
it. You just got to watch it. And I did, and oh my God, you've got to watch it.
Yes, you do.
It's so not what I was expecting.
No, and like Barbarian. Did you see Barbarian?
Oh my God, yeah.
There's nothing similar about those movies except the twists
Yeah.
and how they're done. And
Because it's
oh man,
it is the leftist field you will ever see coming.
Right.
You won't see it coming.
no, you don't. And the effects are really good too, and
Yeah.
like practical. I don't
And
want to
he
say too
cares
much
for
about
that stuff,
Malignant.
too.
Yeah, a lot of
does.
people do. A lot do.
So I think that guy, I want to say his name is Anthony
Muschietti.
Muschietti.
I think it is too.
because he did the It movies, I want to say too.
yes.
So he's got experience with clowns. So I think he would do a good job. Especially because he does these studio movies, but like if Malignant is any consolation as to how he can do artistic wise, this movie would be great in his hands. And
Yeah,
he
I
does
think
the
so, too.
Aquaman movies too, doesn't he?
No, James Wan did both of them.
Did
I'm
James
pretty sure.
Wan do it? James Wan also loves doing horror movies too.
Yeah, he does, and he does a good job. Real good job, even when they're ridiculous, like the Curse of Lalandra or whatever.
Right.
Everybody was crapping on that. That was a good time, and I saw everything coming. There was nothing new about that movie whatsoever, and I still had a good time.
Well, good. That was one I was on the fence about, and we just never ended up getting around to seeing it.
If you got
We were
nothing
gonna go
else
see
to
it to
do,
movies, and COVID happened, and we never got around to it. But yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like, if A24 gets it, give it to one of those guys.
right?
If Blumhouse gets it, I don't know what you're gonna do, but it's
Didn't Boomhouse do Winnie the Pooh?
the Blood and Honey one.
Yeah.
I don't think they did.
Oh,
I think that
okay.
was a completely independent thing.
Okay,
They might have distributed it, but I don't think they had anything to do with it. But Shout did that too. Shout has a video of that. And what a stupid concept that is. But
yeah, and unlike Killer Clowns from Outer Space, they rushed that movie to be the first ones to get it out, and it's all on the screen.
and they've got that sequel coming out that'll probably be way better.
It could
Because
be.
they don't have to rush to get it out now. They don't have to be the first Winnie the Pooh horror movie. So hopefully the sequel will be better.
I'm pretty sure those people are
gotta
making
care.
the Steamboat Willie movie too,
I'm
and that's gonna
not
be
surprised.
crap.
I'm not surprised about that. I'm not against these things.
Me neither.
I'm not at all.
But come on.
But make a good movie first.
Right.
Watch Killer Klowns from Outer Space.
Yeah.
Take notes. Make the good movie first before you do all the man, what's that word? It's like
Marketing?
the gimmick stuff.
Oh yeah, right, yeah.
You know, like make the good movie.
Yeah.
And then put the killer in the Winnie Pooh costume.
Right.
That's
Because
all you
that's
gotta
the
do.
gimmick already.
Right, that Winnie Pooh's the killer. It's just it's good to see a movie like this getting the attention and love it deserves. Because I guess
think
the
so,
game's
too.
got some pretty good feedback on it right now.
Oh, good.
But yeah, I mean, when the movie came out, Rotten Tomatoes wasn't really a thing. But
It was not a thing at all.
it's been it's
You'd
on
have to
there
get-
now, and it's got a 74 on Rotten Tomatoes.
The audience score?
Critical score.
Oh.
So 78 on Rotten Tomatoes. So critically, it's certified fresh.
Right. And so like back in the day you would have had to buy a I just lost his name. Robert Moulton.
Oh, the film review.
Right. Those
Journal.
guides, yeah, that have stars in them and stuff. You wouldn't even think to look it up on anything but a book.
But yeah, I hope, because there has been a sequel in the works for a
Right.
while now, and I hope because the game is now out and it's got a lot of good traction that the sequel comes out
Yeah.
too, because I think again, I've said this before, now's a good time for all that nostalgia stuff.
It
And
is,
to
absolutely
make
is.
Killer Klowns 2, I think now's a good time for it. I mean, you just
Or
make
Return of.
Ghostbusters 5. Yeah, Return of the Killer Klowns. Perfect. Killer
Son
Klowns
of-
Strike Back. you know?
Right, yeah.
And play into that. Play into the whole...
Especially if these guys do it, but I think they might have. What else are they going to do except
Well, yeah.
rehash these jokes?
but yeah. You can... yeah. What else are you
It
going to
is
do?
a problem.
Because
for
I
any
would
kind of
love to
sequel.
see a sequel, but I also don't want to see the same movie again.
Yeah, right.
Man, how would you make a sequel to this?
It would have to be completely different.
It would.
Completely different.
It would have to have a different
jokes
tone.
like that.
It wouldn't have. It couldn't be a comedy.
Right. Or the clowns aren't doing the jokes.
Yeah, the clowns are being very serious.
Right.
And
Like, here's a joke you could do for that. The clown with the big mallet is sneaking up on a guy who's walking down the street, staring at his phone, oblivious to the world.
yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And then he gets bonked on the head.
Or so because we're not really afraid of clowns anymore, quote unquote. But like the whole, I think it was 2016, the clown scare when people would like
Oh, yeah.
dress
If you
up.
dress
and
up like that, yeah.
You can set it in that time.
Yeah.
And have it be like, oh, haha, look at this. And everybody's on their phone and the clowns are killing the people, but everybody thinks it's fake because it's all on
Right.
TikTok or something.
Or they're trying to do a fake TikTok thing, and they're like, okay, take your masks off. And the killer clown just rips people's faces off.
Yeah. See, that would be the way to do it.
It would have to be, the jokes would have to be against modern time.
Societies.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that,
There you
that
go,
would work.
guys.
Yeah, listen to this podcast. Here you go. You can have it. Just
You
put
can,
me in the
you can have
credits.
it.
Yeah, that would be such a good idea. Especially
This is what they did too. They just spent time. They thought of something scary.
and just
They
started
already
talking
got
about
that,
it.
and then just started writing the gags.
Yeah.
To fill out the thing. I think they said it took 5 days to write.
Wow. Wow. Then they definitely, because I was thinking about that too. I was wondering how much of this was scripted and how much of this was improv.
I bet because the props.
Yeah.
I'm sure everything had to be scripted.
I'm sure a lot of it was scripted up until certain parts of dialogue.
Right, like
I'm sure
John
they
Vernon
had
probably could have said whatever the hell
whatever
he wanted to.
say. Yeah, like, this is what's going on.
Right.
Say something
There
about
you
it.
go, John.
But like, there's a lot of parts in this where I feel like they had dialogue written, and they rehearsed it maybe 1 or 2 times, and then in that they come up with something else.
Yeah,
because
sure.
everybody feels like the dialogue doesn't feel clunky; it feels natural
No.
to these people.
Right.
It
So
feel-
they're either really good actors that don't have good management,
or
or it was them just being themselves.
right, which I mean, both could be true because
Yeah,
there's not a part in this where I think it was poorly acted.
I don't think so either. Not
all.
one bit. The only thing that was poorly acted was the balloon dog because they couldn't keep it on the ground very good.
Like, you couldn't keep it. Well, they couldn't keep it on the ground, and the way it was shot, you can tell they're wiggling it too.
Yeah, right.
I think that's
Well, those are real
silly.
things too.
The balloon dogs.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
can buy them at like fairs and whatnot.
Yeah. Well. So what I thought they did when I originally saw this was I thought they just had a plastic one because that would make sense. I think they used a balloon.
They used balloons and they had to put latex on the feet so that the pine needles didn't
Wouldn't
keep
pop
popping
it.
it. Yeah.
Because they didn't have you just had to get it done.
That was they probably had to pay somebody to make them balloon animals.
Yeah, I don't think the clown really did it.
No, well, he didn't, but definitely. Who the hell knows how to make balloon
Who
animals?
knows how to do that? That is such. How did you learn how to do that?
And why?
Yeah, that's so. It's nuts.
Well, back then, cable wasn't even as big as it is.
You just
with
had to learn how to do
so,
something.
That's
Yeah.
how I learned how to juggle. I had nothing better to do. Might as well. This is some music and juggle.
Because they got some crazy, crazy balloon things.
Yeah, that is what people do or did. The Kyoto brothers had a 16
exactly
millimeter
what they did,
camera. Yeah. So did what's his name? M. Night Shyamalan. Same
Right.
thing. That one guy that did a shot-for-shot remake of Raiders of the Lost Ark that took him 30 years to remake.
Oh my God. I wouldn't even want to try to do that.
Well, for fun, if you're a kid, sure. But he got it done. Damn it.
Yeah,
It
30
took him
years later.
however long it was, but it was decades, yeah.
On YouTube, there's a couple of movies that are they've been reanimated. So they call Shrek is a big one where they take the movie Shrek and they give it a bunch of different artists and they each do a bit of it.
Uh-huh.
I think that'd be kind of a cool idea to do with this too.
I think so too.
Because it's so expressive.
Yeah.
You can play around with it a lot.
Yep.
In an animated field like that. I think this would be a good. Well, maybe that's what they can do. They can make it into an animated TV show on HBO.
Okay, I go there. Here's
Yeah.
something else they could do, like Conehead's movie. Part of it takes place on Earth. Part of it takes place on Killer Clown Planet.
God, love
I
the way
guess
they
it could.
sound, too.
A sequel could be pretty good. They
yeah.
got plenty of stuff to do.
And you would all you would have to do is not do what you did before.
That's it.
Just
That's all you
expand
do.
on it.
You could even use. I'm sure they don't have these masks anymore, but the molds for them, if you got them laying around, go ahead.
Yeah, for
And
real.
the thing that they did the Troll movies too. Troll 2 they worked on.
Oh, the
They're not the masks. He said the guy said, I don't remember which one it was, but they use a couple of ears at the most. They didn't repurpose them for that movie.
they did repurpose them for Ernest Scared Stupid.
Right. Yeah, there's another one they
There's
did.
there's a couple, not all of them, but
Yeah,
a
right.
couple of them are over in there. And that's I guess it's I guess that's exactly where you would put something like that.
Yeah, and who cares?
It's a good young kid to older kid to young teenager type of movie that Ernest movie is, and this is kind of too. So it'd be
Yeah, this is definitely a teenager
it
movie.
fits. Yeah, I wouldn't show this to children.
I would.
Well, you did.
Yeah.
I saw it when I was a kid.
Because the violence is cartoony to me, and it's not even real. I didn't think anybody would be scared by little kids would be scared by it because it's ridiculous.
I think the language is what I'm worried about.
Uh-oh.
Because it does have a couple of swears in it, and I guess those ice cream salesmen finally got the Debbie's roommates, and they got some big boobs. We just are over the top. What was that?
Yeah.
And
This is ridiculous.
It's the hot tub gag.
Yeah.
But it's a balloon. It's a ball pit. That's funny.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. But what? Again, man, I want to know so much about the world of this because why do you have a ball pit like that? And then why do you have a pole, which the clowns use too? But the end of the pole is a monster that eats things.
Why would you have that?
Why would you have that? Wait, why'd you stop here? They look down and it's just eating the pole. Yeah, good point. I want to know so bad why that's like that, but it's also cool that I don't know why it's like that. It's so foreign and alien. It makes sense to them.
Right.
That's the cool of it. Man, it's so cool. I love it.
It's deep like Arrival.
Yeah. But yeah, Killer Klowns from Outer Space. I would heavily suggest it to everybody. I show this movie to anybody I can.
Sure, absolutely.
2 thumbs up. A solid.
The video game looks good too.
Video game does. The video game looks good, and it looks like them.
Yep, looks just like them.
They didn't change anything. They didn't update it. There's no like weird colorations. The bodies didn't change. Like they're that weird,
gigantic.
Yeah, and though like the hips are like down to the ground. Like there's no leg. It's just knee and then torso. They really did a visually a good job on it. I've not played the game yet, but I would love to.
I would definitely check that out too, just because the movie's so good.
Yeah, and the game looks like they're doing justice to the movie too. They're paying a lot of homage to it. Solid 5 out of 5 from me. Solid. I have the not Shout Select, but the Scream Factory Steelbook for Killer Klowns from Outer Space on 4K. Beautiful, beautiful film. How did you end up watching it?
On Tubi. And it looked like it was better than the last time I saw it. Well, no, because I saw it on DVD the last time.
Yeah.
But, it's widescreen. It's the right aspect ratio on Tubi. And
Tubi's got a lot of good cult classics on it, too.
It does. I couldn't find... I'm pretty sure we still got it somewhere here on DVD, which is how I would have watched it. I'm sure that we do. But yeah, it's a solid movie for me. Yeah, check it out.
Check it out on
however
TV.
you can.
However you can. Just get yourself
Or there'll be a
copy.
link to it too, isn't there?
There will be a link to
to buy the Steelbook?
The Steelbook 4K. But I mean, on Amazon they've got it.
Yeah.
The Blu-ray, they've got the DVD. I would suggest not watching the VHS because you probably don't have a TV that can play a VHS player. But if you can get your hands on it, I would definitely suggest Killer Klowns from Outer Space.
Yes. Absolutely.
I have been Cheese Film.
And I am Hecubus.
And we'll see you next time in The Dark Corner.